And having opened 3 years ago, it's really working. It's creating social circles for people that are new to the area, both who work out of the space. We have 75 businesses that work out of the current co-works, and we have 21 people, 95% are from out of town that live in the upper floors. So this expansion in the next 2 neighboring buildings, we think will build off that and be a positive asset for the city.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor of the project? Would anybody else like to speak in favor of the project? This time, would anybody like to speak against the project?
I'm Maggie Lane. I'm a member of the Urban Jobs Task Force, and I've started tracking how much tax exemptions you've been giving away. So last year, for the year of 2018, it was over 14 million. And as you know, the mayor in the Daily Orange, I read how he had to dip into the rainy day fund by 11 million. So this project here, which is going to get about $250,000 in tax exemptions, but you know, it's great for downtown and all the sociability downtown. And you know, there's not a whole lot of those kinds of spaces in the neighborhoods that ring downtown. And so you need to give something back. And building, instead of just building buildings, build human beings. And you've got construction wages of almost $500,000 on this project. So it's time for SIDA to sit down and even include SIDA, get some developers in there, get the Urban Jobs Task Force in there, maybe get people like the Carpenters Union who've been coming to this, and talk about how besides the 6-county region you can enforce the construction wages, but a piece of that needs to be for the city of Syracuse. And until you do that, you're going to basically be gentrifying downtown and leaving the neighborhoods around it really hurting. And as the city gets poorer and poorer, they're going to have trouble, you know, taking care of services and community centers and things like that. So it really is, you got to do the right thing. And it's about time you call that. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak against the project?
Good morning. Rich Pachalski, Executive Director, Syracuse United Neighbors. Our organization's been on the 1540 South Salina Street, in the middle of the hood, on Kennedy. It's been around 41 years. Got my water today, so I'm going to be here a while. I like the abuse citizens, taxpayers take from government officials, like you all. What, 25, 26 days, the federal government shut down? Not enough TSA workers to handle people getting on airlines? No food inspectors going around? And now you guys got to abuse us, people that come and speak at public hearings. Instead of 8:30, now we got to show up at 8 o'clock. Take a few minutes so I can get another sip. 8 o'clock. So is that what you want the citizens to show up here and comment about these money tax breaks you're handing out for vacant buildings downtown, he just said, quote unquote? You know, I gave you a Christmas present. I didn't get a thank you yet. I expect Nora to send me one. Maybe my friend Steve Thompson will give me one. Because he talked about vacant property downtown. Well, for over 5 years now, the land bank has been taking property from the Common Council and the mayor. Hundreds of properties, probably around 900. On the south and near west side, where our target neighborhoods are, there are 58 properties as of June in the Elmwood neighborhood, 170 vacants, including lots in the Brighton neighborhood where I live, 190 on the near west side. Guys go down near west side and you handing out tax breaks along Fifth Street, Putnam. 42 in Skunk City, 108 in South Side neighborhood, 80 on the southwest. It's a total of 648 as of June. So we would like to see some of this tax breaks go to assist people, homeowners in particular, that are going to be renovating houses in the surrounding core of downtown. But, not going to see that probably. Again, I want to thank the mayor for having a policy to get people out at 8 o'clock in the morning to make comments. He's a good government official. Is it any different than the guy sitting in the White House? How abusive to get people to come to this hearing room and make comments about our neighborhoods. You don't want any comments. I don't think Ben wants it any either. He's been a year in office. So with that, I would call on each and every member of this board to move this public hearing to where people could show up and to deny this application for tax exemption, including mortgage recording tax. That irks me because a few years ago, people from the Central Bus were up in arms about the cuts being made by SIDA and SIDA in terms of mortgage recording tax. That fills the revenue pot of Central, where a lot of low-income people use buses to get to and from work. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak against the project?
Good morning. I'm Peter Swords. I'm a volunteer with the Syracuse Peace Council. And back on July 31st, I was one of 10 people who demonstrated against the presence of ICE in the former Day Brothers building. I don't think a lot of people even knew that ICE was there. In fact, I know people who have actually gone into the building and talked to the security guard and said, so who's in this building? And they would point to, you know, Cafe Cubal and a bank and several other businesses downstairs, and they would say there were apartments upstairs, but they would never mention ICE. Big secret. I don't even know how much of the building ICE actually uses, but they pay over $100,000 in rent per year. Now that might sound like a really good thing for downtown, but do we really need an ICE office in Syracuse? Do we really need an agency that acts almost like the Gestapo in picking up black and brown people, picking up people who speak with an accent, picking up people, you know, certainly outside of our city at traffic stops? Thank goodness SPD has a policy against that, against profiling. So if we really want a sanctuary city, if we really want a city where people are not afraid to call the authorities, not afraid to call out domestic violence, not afraid to show up at a court case because, you know, they're not afraid to be taken away and detained and deported, then we might have a safer city. But until we have that kind of assurance that this city will not be a place where people are summarily detained without charge, you know, just because they speak a different language, I think we need to really consider whether we want to put our tax breaks in the hands of a developer who rents to ICE. I would actually suggest that we defer this tax exemption until ICE is gone from that building, and then give them a big one. Then make it worth their while to actually rent to regular people and build up the community downtown. I'm not a real authority on all the finance, all the real estate, all the other things that are going on downtown. And I know downtown needs some help. But I think the last thing we want to do is rent out our space downtown to an agency that actually went into a farm last year with 7 people and detained a man and roughed up the farmer, detained the farmer before even figuring out what they were doing. This is militarization and criminalization at its worst. We don't want to support that in Syracuse. Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak against the project? One final time, would anybody else like to speak against the project? Great, thank you. Nora?
Our next public hearing is for JSCB. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing pursuant to Section 859A of the New York General Municipal Law will be held by the City of Syracuse Industrial Development Agency on the 15th day of January 2019 at 8 a.m. local time at 233 East Washington Street in the Common Council Chambers, City Hall, Syracuse, New York, in connection with the following matter. The Syracuse Joint Schools Construction Board, the JSCB, acting as agent of the City of Syracuse and the City of Syracuse School District, requested the agency issue and sell one or more series of its tax-exempt and/or taxable school facility revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $80 million to finance all or a portion of the cost of a project known as the Series 2019A project, consisting of A, the acquisition or continuation by the agency of an interest in the following existing school buildings known as Nottingham High School and Corcoran High School, the reconstruction, renovation, rehabilitation, and improvements, including but not limited to some or all of the following at the buildings: windows, roofs, skylights, stairs, ceilings, walls, classrooms, offices, elevators, entryways, bathrooms, gymnasium, lockers, lighting, mechanicals, plumbing, HVAC, electrical, ADA compliance, security, site improvements, facade and masonry work, parking lots, curbing, paving, electrical vaults, and storm sewer and landscaping. And anticipated cost overruns associated with renovations being done at Ed Smith Pre-K to 8 School, Bellevue Elementary, and the Westside Academy at Blodgett. B, the acquisition and installation in and around the buildings and the 2018 schools of certain items of equipment, furnishing, fixtures, other incidental and appurtenant tangible personal property, related site and facade work, parking improvements, and landscaping, together with the buildings and the equipment is the facilities. These are necessary and attendant to the use of the 2018 schools as schools by the city and the SCSD. And C, the financing of all or part of a portion of the cost thereof, including funding capitalized interest for the Series 2019A project, financing certain costs of issuance, and funding a debt service reserve fund, if any, associated with the Series 2019A project by the issuance of the Series 2019A bonds. The JSCB shall be the initial owner or operator of the project facility. The agency will, at the above stated time and place, hear all persons with views with respect to the proposed financial assistance to the JSCB, the proposed owner-operator, the location of the project facility, and the nature of the project. A copy of the application filed by the JSCB with the agency with respect to the project, including an analysis of the costs and benefits of the project, are available for public inspection during the business hours at the office of the agency, located at 201 East Washington Street, 6th floor, Syracuse, New York. That was fun.
Would anybody like to speak in favor of the project?
Good morning. Donna Harris I'm Fiscal Officer at the Syracuse City School District. The district is looking to renovate 2 of its high schools. They're in desperate need of renovation, haven't been touched in probably over 30 years. And it is for the betterment of the student population, obviously. We're looking to go out to borrowing sometime the end of March. And construction should begin right around the end of April for the Corcoran project, and the end of May the following month for the Nottingham. 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 Project. That's it.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor of the project? Would anybody like to speak in favor of the project? Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor of the project?
Aggie Lane of the Urban Jobs Task Force, and I would like you to support this project. The Urban Jobs Task Force was very much instrumental in getting the Joint School Construction Board to put in a 20% residency requirement that people, the contractors who were hiring people, need to eventually hire at least 20% of city residents on those construction projects. So I hope you follow suit. Thank you.
Rich Pachowski, Syracuse United Neighbors, son, 1540 South Salina Street. We have long supported the project, as Nora mentioned, West Side Academy at Blodgett. It's a project that should have been done a good 20 years ago. It's unfortunate that 500 students on Oswego Street have to be in that facility, and it's long overdue. We supported the superintendent's call for the funding of this project, although it's not enough. I think it's about 17 million, originally what I saw about a year ago. But this is long overdue and should be a priority of the school district to secure the rest of the funding for the state of New York. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak in favor of the project? This time, would anybody like to speak against the project? One more time, would anybody like to speak against the project? Great. Thank you.
Great.
This time, we'll call the meeting, the SIDA board meeting to order. First, roll call. Michael Frame, chair.
Kathy Murphy, treasurer.
Ricky Brown, secretary.
Steve Thompson. Ken Kinsey.
Proof of notice of the meeting was accurately posted and timely posted. With that, we'll move on to the minutes from the December 18th, 2018 board meeting. A motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The minutes carry. Next, I will recognize the Finance Committee Chair, Kathy Murphy, for a committee report.
Good morning, thank you. The Finance Committee at its last meeting considered and recommends for your consideration 2 applications for benefits. The first being the Joint School Construction Board moves forward, and the Days Plaza investment.
Are there any questions? Okay, thank you, Kathy.
Yep.
Now we'll move on to new business. Sue, Common Space Warren LLC.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. The first matter in the agenda for your consideration is the Common Space Warren project, for which you just heard the description through the public hearing. The first resolution in your agenda is the seeker resolution. As with all applications, a seeker review is mandated, and an EAF was submitted for review. It was determined that this constitutes an unlisted action under the seeker regulations. There is no significant negative impacts on the environment, and there is a negative declaration being issued with respect to the project.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the seeker resolution.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution carries.
Thank you. The next resolution in your agenda is the inducement resolution. Just to reiterate the benefits being requested, this project is not requesting a pilot, so a pilot is not before you. It is requesting New York State and local sales and use tax exemptions in an amount not to exceed just over $189,000. Mortgage recording tax exemption, which I will note for the record, the board only has the authority to give 0.75% of any mortgage recording tax, because the balance of that does go to the Central New York Transportation District, so you can only give up to 3/4 of that. It authorizes the execution and delivery of the agency agreement, which is attached as an exhibit to your resolution, and it appoints the company as your agent for purposes of undertaking and completing the project.
So I'll entertain a motion to, for the inducement resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution carries.
Thank you. The last resolution in your agenda with respect to this project is the final approving resolution, which authorizes the execution and delivery of all necessary lease transactional documents to confer the benefits awarded.
I'll entertain a motion for the final resolution.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Second.
Aye.
I'm sorry, who seconded? I did.
Steve.
Okay, thank you.
I was asking for the second.
I apologize. That's all for this one.
Thank you. We'll now
Sure.
move on to the Days Plaza LLC.
Where are they leaving? The next matter in your agenda is Days Plaza. You may recall that the public hearing with respect to this project was held last month in December. At that time, the board tabled the passing of the additional resolutions. At the request of the board, additional information was provided, or excuse me, the board requested additional information at that time when they tabled their consideration of the resolutions, and that additional information was compiled and submitted to the board by staff of the agency. So with that, the first resolution in the agenda with respect to this project is a seeker resolution. Again, the EAF was submitted with the application. It was reviewed. It was determined that this is an unlisted action under seeker, that there will be no significant negative environmental impacts, and there is a negative declaration that is being issued.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the seeker resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution carries.
The next resolution in your agenda with respect to this matter is the inducement resolution. I will note for the record that the benefits being sought are sales and use tax and mortgage recording tax exemptions. There is no pilot being requested. And while the project at one time when it was first being undertaken many, many years ago did come to the agency for benefits, no benefits were ever approved at that time. So this is, in essence, the first time this project appears before the agency with respect to benefits. The resolution, the inducement resolution authorizes New York State and local sales and use tax in an amount not to exceed $240,000. It authorizes the mortgage recording tax exemption. It authorizes the execution and delivery of the agency agreement, which is attached as an exhibit, and it appoints the company as your agent for purposes of undertaking and completing the project.
I'll entertain a motion for the inducement resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Was that against?
Then for the record, I'm aye for the inducement resolution.
It passes.
Yeah.
What did we do?
Can you vote it against? Yep.
Okay.
The final resolution.
The final resolution in the agenda with respect to this project authorizes you to execute and deliver all necessary lease transactional documents to confer benefits approved by the agency.
I'll entertain a motion for the final resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Ken?
Yeah, opposed.
Okay.
Thank you. Ready? The next matter in the agenda is a request by the Addis Building LLC for an extension of their appointment as your agent for purposes of completing a project and the correlating extension of their lease transactional documents. So this is a project that was undertaken by the board last year. It closed in March of 2018. It is for the property at 449 through 453 South Salina Street. Is the renovation of that building for mixed-use purposes into residential and commercial. They have undertaken the project. They were awarded sales and use tax in an amount not to exceed $222,890. They have not exceeded that amount. They have verified that to the staff. However, due to the necessity to obtain some easements from neighboring property owners. Construction was delayed. So they are simply asking to extend their appointment so that they can complete the project. And it will require an amendment of their leases to extend the term as well because, excuse me, there is no pilot on this project. And I believe their counsel is here, or a member of the LLC, if you have any questions.
Are there any questions? Nope. Okay. Then I'll entertain a motion for the resolution.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Are you ready? The next matter in the agenda is a request by 900 East Fayette Group LLC. The original request was for the agency to participate in additional financing. This project closed with the board a little over a year ago, I think. And it is always anticipated that the board will participate in additional financing. So they came back and they are looking to take an $850,000 second construction loan mortgage, and then they're consolidating that with their first mortgage into permanent financing through Five Star Bank. So in doing that, as we prepare the resolutions and we review the loan documents and get ready to participate in the financing, we always ask we ask staff to provide us with an invoice for your correlating administrative fee. And in conjunction with that, the developer came back and has requested a reduction in that because the way it works out under the current fee structure, they would be paying an additional amount on the mortgage that they already took. And so in speaking with Nora and Judy, I think what we would like to do is at the next board meeting.
We could talk about it today and vote, or we could do it next week. It's really up to the board.
Okay. We believe that there needs to be an amendment to your fee schedule so that this situation does not happen again, and allow this project to benefit whether we discuss the fee schedule and adopt it today or we do it next month. We think this project should be paying 0.25% on the new money being taken. Is that right?
Yes.
0.25% of the new money being taken, and not pay a percentage of the original mortgage amount for which they already submitted a fee to the agency when they closed.
Basically, we would be charging double fees.
Yes.
Essentially.
Okay.
On the same money.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
But you charge them a quarter on the new money?
on the
Yes,
new
on the
money,
new
right?
money.
And so because the new money is benefiting from 3/4 of the 1% of the mortgage recording, 1% on that doesn't make sense. It still costs too much. You want to make sure that there is a benefit to the benefit. So that's where we got to a quarter. So essentially, they're saving half on the mortgage recording on new money. That's how it kind of boils out on this.
So can we vote on the new fee structure at this? Can we introduce that as new business and then go back to this? Or
Yes, you
Yep.
can.
So-
Absolutely.
would that make it, would that?
It would.
Okay. Is that
If the board is comfortable doing the fee schedule today, that would make it.
Are there any objections to
So
us?
there's one other kind of change to the fee schedule.
Okay.
Can we go over the fee schedule?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So,
what I'm just asking, kind of, if we can make this now the business and then we'll go back to the other.
Okay.
And just for the record, the amount we're talking about is $2,100.
yes,
Okay.
of the new fee
For the
rather
new
than
fee, correct.
20.
Okay.
Judy, what was the fee gonna be? 26,000?
27 around there
Around $27,000.
So essentially, we're holding this for a moment.
Just
for a moment,
Right.
yes.
So what you have in front of you is a track changed version of our existing fee schedule with the proposed edits. So the two changes essentially amount to clarifying the 1% that we would charge on new projects. So projects come, they say, oh, we've run over $4 million, we need an additional sales and use tax, we're gonna need to do a new mortgage. We have charged 1% on new additional costs of the project, and we would continue to charge 1% on that. That's what we charge on projects to begin with, so that is well in line. But we just clarified that. The second portion of the changes, as we just described, where there is simply a new, there is not an increase to the project cost, but there is new financing taking place, where we did not participate before, to make sure that there is a fee on that additional benefit, but that it is not greater than the actual benefit itself. So that is that 1/4 of the new money being financed, 1/4 of 1%. Now,
Can you give an example of that? Would that be the rebonding?
This would just be on essentially new financing on projects. Yeah.
It has nothing to do with bond
Yeah, we're not
issuances,
changing
it's
any of the
separate.
bonding.
Or a conversion from a construction loan to
Yes.
a permanent
Yes.
mortgage.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
As an example.
Yeah.
Would be,
Yep.
I
So-
would understand that better. Let me just say that.
Only Sue understands bonds anyway. So those would be the two changes. We take out all other refinancing just to clarify what we're actually charging the fee on. And the last item, the modification or amendment of closing documents under post-closing items. Again, sometimes we're asked to participate in new loans, so that we've clarified that to include refinancing of original mortgages. So in the case with 900 Fayette, there's a refinancing of a new mortgage. There's additional money. In this case, the fee would be $1,000 for the refi, and then the 1/4% on the new money. So that's how we get to the fee. So it's just really clarifying and trying to make this a little bit more.
And the $1,000 refi is a standard charge.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so the post items that you see here are not changing, we're just, again, clarifying a bit of the wording of the fee structure. The real change is that 1/4% solely on mortgage, new money.
Right. Got it.
That makes sense? Good. So that would be a motion to amend the fee schedule.
I'll entertain a motion to amend the fee schedule.
Second.
Who was first?
Ken's
You
going
all said
first.
first.
I think Ken got it. Trying to do the Jeopardy.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so we've changed the fee structure, and so now we'll go back to,
So now we'll go back to 900 East
Yeah,
Fayette. So
900 East Fayette.
so the resolution that you have in front of you doesn't even discuss the fee, because that was brought to our attention after the agenda went to you. And what the resolution is requesting is your participation in the GAP construction mortgage and the consolidation. And so with that, and now with the adoption of the new fee schedule, we don't need to address the fee here, it will just track the new fee schedule.
okay.
So we just need a motion to approve your participation in the financing.
A motion to approve the resolution?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The resolution carries.
Wonderful, thank you.
Oh, there's one more then,
Yep, we need to make just an adjustment to the membership of the audit and finance committees. Currently, Mike is on the audit committee and Kathy is on finance, and they need to flip-flop. So that is no other membership of the committees would be changing, but that is the one change we need to make for reasons.
we need a motion to carry the, or just a vote?
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Let's do it. Can we do it, because I need to check.
Yeah.
Okay, a motion for the reassignment of
I'm being
of Kathy
kicked
and I.
out.
I'll make a motion.
Let's just
Can I have a
vote.
second?
I'm gonna protest.
All in favor?
What's happening over there?
I'm being removed. I mean, I've been kicked out of better places.
Worst places.
Is there any other new business for today?
Steve.
Steve made the motion.
My friend, former friend, Steve.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there any other new business?
I'll check. No.
No?
Motion
All
to
right.
adjourn.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Ken, you jumped the gun there. He's like, let's go.